Yesterday, Figma made a big announcement of Agents Meet the Figma Canvas. Those of you who have been working with me on the Claude MCP and Figma connection, we already saw the beginning of this, which is the ability for agents to send any code that they create into the Figma canvas. Yesterday was a completion to this feature, adding new tools, new capabilities, enabling more agents to access the Figma canvas, not just send existing code to canvas, but allowing the agent to be able to edit things on your canvas. I've been exploring this feature since yesterday, and the biggest realization is it answers so many of the questions that you've asked me in the comment, which is how do I vibe design, or how do I allow the agents to create very accurate designs leveraging my actual design system? I spent hours working on this yesterday, and I'm re-recording it once again this morning because it was complex. But finally, I figured out the way where you can prompt and allow the agent to take your design system components and actually build a screen with them. Build a real screen with them, built with your design system instances and component to a point where you can actually change the tokens, change the themes. This is not just a random UI that's created from scratch. Trust me, I've tried many attempts, and initially it was generating just this random file with frames and text created from scratch. But finally, now I know, and this is the purpose of this video, to share with you how to actually get it to get your design system library. So let's get to it. Please follow the exact instructions. There are specific steps that you need to follow in order for this to work. So make notes of these steps for this to work for you. Now, the first most critical step for any of this to work is you need to have your Figma MCP connection really working. I'm seeing a lot of people try this without the right MCP connection, and obviously the results are not accurate. So a simple step for you using Claude Desktop to verify this. Here you go. I'm in a new session in Claude. I'm asking Claude Desktop the simple question just to verify I have a correct connection to the MCP. What Figma skills do you have access to? And you will see it will return to me, showing me all the skills that are available. The skills that can be used with a command. I tested it with the / command. I don't think it's still working with the command, but anyways, the moment you speak with the regular language with the Claude MCP, it works. Maybe by the time you get to this video, if you write /, it will work. Otherwise, I will show you the exact prompt that you need to use. But this shows me directly that I do have access to the Figma MCP. It is connected and working from within my Claude desktop. So I highly recommend you start with this question. And in my description, I'm giving you links to all these pages that were published by Figma on this feature. You will see they have a tools and prompts page where it shows you exactly all the functions or tools that are part of the Figma MCP. And when I ask Claude to show me the skills, this is exactly matching what the Figma documentation shows. Now, if I dig deeper into this documentation, you will see there are tools that are super helpful and directly related to the design system, like get design context, get variable defs, search design system, create design system rules. This one specifically, you would use it if you wanted Claude to understand the rules of your design system and generate them as a separate file. But the ones that Claude will end up using on its own are 3 specific functions, and I will show you that after trial and error and how we would write the exact prompt to get us there. So this is it. So back to our steps and requirements. First, you have the Figma MCP connected and you've tested that within Claude. Now, the second step needs to happen within Figma itself. So to do this the easiest way, I want you to follow my lead, and then you can elaborate, and hopefully as they stabilize this connection, maybe this can happen much smoother. But what Claude needs from you to do this properly, and I will create a document After trying multiple times, Claude told me why it didn't work initially and how we need to do it properly. You need to tell Claude 3 things: the Figma file URL where it should work, what we want it to build, and also what is the name of the design system library that is creating. So 3 things that Claude would require from you, and eventually we will put it in a prompt that looks like this. Our prompt is going to say create a screen, and we will specify what is the screen, for example, a login screen in file, and we will provide the URL of the file that we want to use using components from library name. And this is where we want to specify the name of the library, the name of your design system. What's most important is the library needs to be published, enabled, and ideally connected to your file. So here's how I did this in Figma for this to work. I created a file called Android App Test because the library that I wanted to use is the Material Design Library. Now, I'm assuming you have your own design system. Just make sure it is published as a library. Under the drop-down, this is where you normally publish your library, but if your design system is published, then there is no problem with that. And then create a new file. So in my case, I created a new file. I called it Android App Test. And then I went ahead and I connected using the Assets tab. So you will see my Material 3 test library has been connected to this file. If you don't have your own design system yet and you want to test this, you can always use the UI kits that are provided by Figma, attach them, add them to your file, and use their name. For example, if I wanted to use the Figma design system library, if you add this to your file, now that it's added, you will be able to use the name of this library in your prompt to Claude so that Claude uses this particular design system. Now, back in my case to the Material 3 design library, it's attached, and this is my new file. I need the link for it. Now, few things to debug, so you don't ask me later in the comments. Your library, your design system, and your file need to live in the same space. For example, if your library, design system library, is created with your free account and then your file is living in your work account, this will not work. Claude will have issues connecting them together and it will get stuck. So make sure things live in the same place, they are connected. As a test, to test that this file was working, what I did is I went to my assets. And I actually dragged some of the components here just to make sure I can insert components from this library. So these 2 things are connected, and that is what's most critical. Now that you have things in place, a published design system or library, a file connected to that library, and your Figma MCP connection working, let's go back to Claude and use the simple prompt that will provide these 3 components for it to start generating UIs from your design system library and sending them to your Figma file. Here you see my prompt. I said, create a mobile Android app login screen. And I gave it the file where I wanted it to create it. This is my Android app test file. I copied the link from right here and I provided it in my prompt. And I said, use my components and tokens from my design system Material 3 test library. So I provided it with the exact name of the library that I wanted it to do. So it started loading the tools, search design system, get variable defs. It did all these tools and prompts that what we just saw here. It recognized this as a material component library, and it went ahead and created, it pulled up the test bar, the logo, the welcome back, and it generated this exact screen right here. If you look at the folder structure, you will see the screen is connected to actual material styles and variables. This is a material button component from the Material 3 library. Same, this is a material text field. And now because this screen is actually built with my components and not just random frames and text that does look like material but is not material, which is my initial tries to do this. Now I am able to leverage modes, which are part of the variable color library in Material M3. And I can come here, I can change the mode, and this will automatically change my screen, tokens, and colors. This is super helpful and amazing, and we were not able to do this accurately before this agent release, before this new release that provided us with more tools within Figma, especially the Use Figma tool that kind of allows the agent to go and write, as well as search design system and get variables and definitions. You will see when I asked Claude, how did we do this properly? Because it didn't work in the multiple attempts before. It said, the key insight from the docs is a 3-step workflow. Search design system, find the published library components, and return the component key for each of those components. Import the components by pulling the real component from the library, and then setting those components exactly per key. And that is where it provided us with this new prompt format that will give it all the exact detail it needs to create what we want. So you tell it what to create, in which file, making sure that file is connected to the library or design system you want, and using components from library, you specify the library name. And you make sure that that library is enabled. I'm going to give you all these prompts and discoveries inside the description so you can follow this. Follow it and let me know if it works for you. Hopefully it will solve your design system problem. If you're interested to learn more, a good explanation about what each one of these skills does, or to learn more about your own skills, let me know and I'll create a follow-up video on that. I hope this is going to unblock you so you can connect your design system and get it working. Let me know in the comments if you managed to do that, or if you have any more questions. I will address them as soon as I can so we can tackle it together. Thank you so much for watching.